Hello, everyone. I'm happy to have the opportunity to participate in the World Down Syndrome Congress, Dubai 2021, and represent my country and my organization. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nino Kalandia from Georgia, Tbilisi, member of the Georgian Down Syndrome Association and mother of a girl with Down syndrome. My daughter's name is Anna, and she's 8 years old. Today, I would like to talk about Georgian Down Syndrome Association's activities and the new program 7+. But before that, I will briefly introduce you our organization in general. Georgian Down Syndrome Association was founded on January 16, 2017 by parents and an adult with Down syndrome. Over the years, parents, individually or independently, have helped to raise public awareness about Down syndrome by lobbying for various legislative initiatives in government agencies. They volunteered to support parents in Tbilisi and in the regions, set up self-help groups, disseminate information, and so on. Over the years, a fairly large database of people with Down syndrome and their families has been established across the country. The main activities of the organization are based on the experience gained in practice and needs seen, which should be brought into a unified system in order to ultimately protect the rights of people with Down syndrome. The main achievement of the association is that in the Caucasus region, it is considered to be a strong organization working on Down syndrome. In addition, organization is currently the founder of the social enterprise Babale and Gigo Foundation. The association carries out activities in 4 directions. Empowerment program for families and persons with Down syndrome, service creation and advocacy program, awareness raising program, teaching and development program. Our vision and mission, briefly. A dignified life for a person with Down syndrome in an equal environment where his or her abilities will be recognized and realized. Our mission is to ensure the full involvement and participation of people with Down syndrome in public life. We do this by empowering their families, advocating for well-adapted services, supporting independent living, and raising public awareness. Our values. Georgian Down Syndrome Association recognizes the principle of equality, agrees international human rights standards, respects the individuality and uniqueness of the individual. Let me talk about the social enterprise Babale. As I mentioned above, Georgian Down Syndrome Association is the founder of social enterprise Babale and Gigo Foundation. With the initiative of parents of children with Down syndrome, the social enterprise Babale was established in 2015, which initially was functioned as a project, but since July 2018, it has been operating as Babale Social Enterprise Ltd. Babale combines 2 spaces, a creative workshop space where young people with special needs get education, work, create products using a special methodology, and a shop where works are exhibited and sold. Both decorative and items of practical use of wood and textile are made in the social enterprise Babale. Workshops are held for all interested people, students or tourists in Babale space, during which they create various souvenirs with the help of Babale staff, including people with disabilities, which contributes to the natural development of an inclusive environment. The profit of the social enterprise is reinvested to develop the activity and or to provide more services to the beneficiaries. The enterprise is self-sustaining. Its revenues cover all expenses. Briefly about the March 21st, about colorful socks campaign and fundraising with the help of social enterprise Babale. At the beginning, a small group of parents with big ambitions tried to raise public awareness, and without experience in PR and marketing, only with personal motivation, we managed to make March 21st a real celebration in Georgia. With Babale's financial help, we managed to buy socks from Down Syndrome International for several years. The socks campaign has become very popular, and in 2018, the idea of fundraising appeared. In total, the 2018-2019 fundraising profit raised up to 75,000 Georgian lari, though we started to create, pilot, and implement new development programs for adults with Down syndrome. I would also like to mention that since 2019, we have started knitting socks ourselves. The design of the socks is inspired by the paintings of Georgian artists, national heritage, and children with Down syndrome. Today, our socks are also sold on Amazon. Briefly about the Gigos Foundation. Gigos Foundation was established in 2018 with the initiative of the founders of the Georgian Down Syndrome Association and the person with Down syndrome, Gigo Shilgashvili. The foundation provides charitable activities for children and adults with Down syndrome who are in particular need of support. These include children with health problems, living in extreme poverty, foster children and orphans, socially vulnerable families, and single parents of children with Down syndrome. The main goals of the foundation are healthcare issues, support of families which are in extreme poverty, promoting development, socialization, and integration, and promoting independent living. All donor organizations that contribute charitable services, financial or otherwise, are considered as partners of Gigos Foundation. About the COVID-19 pandemic shortly. The world pandemic reached Georgia in March 2020. The country, which was in an unfavorable economic situation even before the pandemic, was aggravated by the current situation. Unfortunately, the government did not prepare an action plan for people with disabilities, did not address a number of priority issues for people with disabilities. Despite the necessity, the imposed restrictions negatively affected the families of persons with disabilities. In March 2020, the World Health Organization released information and recommended what factors would be taken into account during the COVID-19 pandemic for people with disabilities who are at risk for various chronic diseases and health problems. The epidemic situation damage the families of people with disabilities, both financially and psychologically. Family members of persons with disabilities who were employed informally, had a daily job, lost their jobs. Georgian Down Syndrome Association and Gigos Foundation, with the support of various international foundations, has implemented a number of projects to help and support unemployed families. People with Down syndrome belong to one of the most stigmatized groups in Georgia. Now I'm talking about statistics and challenges. The group is so stigmatized that in the case of the birth of a child with Down syndrome, those around them often advise parents to leave the child in state care. One of the reasons for such a high degree of stigma is also the lack of knowledge in the society about Down syndrome. Lack of knowledge is unfortunately also present in those groups who have a professional obligation to be more informed. For example, in secondary school teachers, including special education teachers. Also, less attention is paid to specific aspects of the approach to people with Down syndrome in the curricula of teachers and special education students. As for today, about 600 children with Down syndrome are registered in the database of the Georgian Down Syndrome Association, including 175 children in Tbilisi. People with Down syndrome do not receive comprehensive services in various fields, such as health, education, culture, sports, etc. Due to the current situation, people with Down syndrome have low self-esteem. They are no longer able to maximize their capabilities because at the appropriate stages of development, they do not receive the services needed to improve skills in a timely manner. Not only people with Down syndrome, but also their family members face challenges. These are many cases when the parents themselves are not able to properly support the development of the child. It is also noteworthy that parents and other family members do not receive psychological help to better cope with providing the necessary steps for the development of a family member with Down syndrome. The situation is aggravated by the fact that children and adults with disabilities in Georgia still do not have adequate support from public services. The small list of programs that are implemented are outdated, does not meet modern challenges, and children do not have support for their individual development. From the world practice, taking effective examples, promoting the independent life of people with intellectual disabilities requires deep, consistent, and professional teamwork, which is not yet possible in our country. Promoting independent living begins at an early age and lasts during their lifetime. In our reality, we have only an early development program for children aged from 0 to 7 years. After entering school, the only available service is a day center, which in most cases is limited to care and cannot provide the skills needed for independent living. It is at the age of 7 to 18 that special attention should be paid to the development of skills that will help the child and adult to integrate into society and prepare for independent living. To achieve these goals, it is important to deal with a number of difficulties, such as social behavior, self-care skills, adaptation to the environment, special orientation, transition from kindergarten to school at the age of 7, improving communication skills, discovering professional skills, choosing a vocational school, and etc. Now I'll talk about our new program 7+. In view of all above, in order to support children with Down syndrome and their families, Georgian Down Syndrome Association decided to create new, modern, person-centered services that will greatly improve the quality of life for children and adults with Down syndrome, as well as their family members, which will prepare children and adults with Down syndrome for independent living, assist them in mastering, enhancing everyday skills, helps them to choose a profession, and adequately assess their own abilities. The project methodology is developed based on modern approaches and international best practices. The target category of the program are children and adults with Down syndrome, aged 7 to 18, living in Tbilisi, regardless of whether they have the status of a child with disabilities or not. The goal of the 7+ program is to prepare children and adults with Down syndrome for independent living. In particular, assist in the development of communication skills such as language, speech, literacy, teach improved functional skills such as personal hygiene, dressing, cooking, managing one's own finances, mobility and transportation. Help deepen one's own interests and discover new ones. Assist in adequately assessing one's own capabilities. Allow them to try themselves at different professions. Assist in choosing a profession. The tasks of the program are based on the main characteristics of individuals with Down syndrome. Difficulties in developing communication skills such as language, speech, literacy, difficulties in arithmetic knowledge, difficulties in emotional regulation, such as self-esteem and self-reflection, good visual memory, ability to easily master social skills. Based on this feature, the following tasks are set: development of communication skills, development of functional skills, mobility, discovering, deepening interests, adequately assess own capabilities, and professional orientation. Responsible for the full implementation of the program are program manager, coordinators, coaches, and various therapists. Currently, the program is being piloted. We're training both people with disabilities and young professionals. The project includes both theoretical training and practical applications. The pilot of the program is supported by the European Foundation in Georgia. The program is officially recognized by various professionals and targeted agencies, such as Ministry of Education of Georgia, Ministry of Healthcare of Georgia, Social Service Agency, Child Development Institute, organizations and coalitions of persons with disabilities. The Georgian Down Syndrome Association is advocating for the program with the Tbilisi City Hall to turn the program into a state service. This year, on March 21st, the children and adults of the 7+ program held a market in Tbilisi, where they offered Babale's products to the guests, offered them coffee, tea, and fresh juices, also sold their baked cakes and flowers planted into the pots by themselves. That's all I wanted to say to you today. I hope the presentation was interesting and informative, and you learned a lot about the activities of the Georgian Down Syndrome Association. Thank you for your attention.